What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today is St. Patrick's Day 2023, so happy St. Patty's Day to everyone out there. And to celebrate the occasion, I am reviewing two classic Nitro Irish Dry Stouts, the first of which comes from Guinness, and they, of course, are out of St. James Gate in Dublin, Ireland, and this is their Guinness Draught. So this is a Nitro Irish Dry Stout that comes in at 4.2% alcohol by volume, 45 IBUs at the time of review. I believe this can is just over 5 months old, and that's because there is some sort of code on the bottom that I believe I've deciphered that this was canned on October 6th of last year, 2022, making this just over 5 months old as I review it. So yeah, I'm going to be reviewing this one right now. And then right after this, I'm going to be reviewing Murphy's Irish Stout. Now, a lot of folks compare those two. I've never done like a side-by-side of these two beers. I've always had them separately. Now, my preference in the past has been Murphy's. I always found it a little less bitter and a little bit more chocolate forward, but both I do enjoy. This is a classic beer that many of you out there have had. Most of you have probably heard about this beer. And yeah, it's just an experience with the whole Nitro. It's just a fun beer. It's a solid beer, and I'm going to finally review it. I can't believe I haven't reviewed it yet. It's been almost 5 years my channel's been going. Never reviewed this one. So we're going to do the Guinness pour here. We got the hashtag proper glass where I picked up a couple Guinness glasses this past week because the ones I had in the past broke. So I got these. These were real nice. Really beautiful looking glasses. So the typical Guinness pour is the 45-degree angle. You pour 3/4 of it in, you tip it 90 degrees, and then you pour the rest in as it settles. We will do that, although with most Nitro beers, I just do the hard pour, especially with like left hands beers and whatnot. But with Guinness, we'll do the proper pour, even though I'm going to mess it up. We're still going to do it. So crack this open. This usually gushes out, or it sometimes does, so we're going to go quick. Yep. So there's the 45-degree pour, right? Pour 3/4 of it, and then you let it settle and pour the rest. So something like, we'll say like that. And then I'll just give you the cascading effect as it settles. I mean, the thing about Guinness is this is one of the cool experiences with the Nitro is that you get to see it cascade in real time. And in the hashtag proper glassware, look at that, it just looks beautiful. So again, I've had this beer many, many times before. And it's one of those beers where like, if there's something, if I go to a place and there's nothing great on tap and they have Guinness, I'll always grab a Guinness. It's fantastic. I do hope at some point to actually be able to get to Ireland and have it on tap at the brewery because everybody says how much better in Ireland Guinness is, and I believe them. I really do. So anyway, as this settles, we're just going to pour the rest in, and then we are going to get into the review. Done. And of course, with Guinness, this has the widget in there to produce the nitrogen. I've cut one of these open back in the day just to get a look at it. It's an interesting thing, I will say. So yeah, that looks like a Nitro Irish Dry Stout, right? It's not pitch black. On camera, it's probably gonna look pitch black. In person, hold it up to light. It has like cola look to it, like a Dr. Pepper. It's definitely darker brown. You can see like ruby red hints at the bottom. But as that cascades and finishes up, it has about 1.5 fingers of a beautiful, creamy, tan-colored head, super compact. When you're talking about Nitro, you want the beer to look exactly like this. That looks like a perfect, Guinness beer, Guinness Draught in a glass. It really does. Let's get a nose. So the one thing about Nitro, and I've noticed this from Guinness to Left Hand to so many Nitro beers, the aromas usually aren't explosive. It's hard to get the aromas through the head. But this has like a little roasted malt. There's a tinge of a metallic note here. Very slight, but then it's like baker's chocolate, a little bit of coffee. This has more roasty, kind of like bitter-esque kind of aromas to it. You know that it's gonna be a little bit more bitter. But yeah, it's malty, maybe a little bit of like an earthy hop character. But yeah, I'm not going to bullshit here and be like, oh, I'm getting 7,000 things, because when it comes to Guinness and the aroma, I usually don't. Maybe you do, I don't. And I'm not getting a whole lot here. That's why you got to drink it. So cheers, everybody. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, it's Guinness in a nutshell. So what does that mean? Well, it means when you drink this beer, you want that Nitro mouthfeel, and it has it in spades here. It's uber smooth, ridiculously creamy, exactly what you want. A lot of people, when they first have this, is like, oh, it's flat. Kind of. But the nitro, which you lose in carbonation, you make up for with the nitrogen, which produces that incredibly smooth and creamy, almost like milkshake-esque kind of mouthfeel. The body on this one, always a bit thin for me, 4.2%. I'm not, expecting a huge beer. I wouldn't say it's watery, but it's like higher side of light, lower side of medium, which is probably appropriate for 4.2. But the one misconception a lot of folks have with this beer, especially if they are just, maybe trying out new beers, you look at something like this and you think, oh man, it's gonna be super heavy and just taxing on the palate and the body's gonna be like chewing it. That's not this beer. That's like a 12% Imperial Stout, right? This beer, it's higher side of light body. It's very, it's thin in comparison to how it looks, but again, the smooth, creamy mouthfeel makes up for it. The taste, again, this is not to me an overly complex beer. Right at the forefront, I'm hit with some lightly roasted malts. There's a baker's chocolate, a little bit of coffee roast passes through. There is a little bit of like a fruity tinge here. And maybe like a slight cherry, darker stone fruit, very minute. As it passes through and completes on the finish and through the palate, it finishes semi-dry to me and mild to moderately bitter. This is not overly bitter, but there's a decent bitter kind of like earthy hop character on the finish. Super easy to drink. You could crush a ton of these. They're only 4.2%. And a lot of people also think the calories would be high with this. No. 12 fluid ounces of this. And again, this can, I believe, is 14.9. 14. So I think for 12 fluid ounces is 125 calories. So you're talking, what, like 150 calories or so, maybe 140 something for 14.9 fluid ounces. That's not bad, especially if you're in the mood for a stout and you want something like this. Like, that's not that crazy. So overall, I enjoy this beer. 4.2%, you can't taste it. It's a great session beer, which a lot of folks session this beer, and it's just a classic. And again, I've been reviewing some of these classic beers that so many people out there have had before. So for me to like act surprised and be like, oh, if you've never had it, I know most of you have had this beer. Like, most of you have probably tried this beer. But if by some chance you have never had this beer, go pick up a 4-pack of it and give it a go. It's just a fun, solid beer for me. It's worth it too, because price point and availability are pretty damn good. But we're gonna go ratings on this one now. If we're gonna say, stylistically, for a Nitro Irish Dry Stout, it's pretty fucking good. So Guinness Draught, it's pretty damn good. So stylistically, I'd give this like a 4.5 out of 5, maybe like a high 4.5. Like, it's kind of the gold standard when it comes to nitro beers, in general. But I would say that my personal rating on this one, I would go like high 3.75. I go 3.85. No, I go 3.8. 3.8 out of 5 for Guinness as an overall beer. And I used to give this a lower score when I first had it, probably like a 3 out of 5, maybe a low 3. But over the years, I've come to appreciate it more and kind of respect it for what it is. And what it is a pretty solid Nitro Irish Dry Stout that I enjoy. Price point and availability. This here in the Buffalo, New York area, so keep that in mind, $8.99 a 4-pack. So you're talking $2.25 for a can. That's fine. That's actually a decent price. And it's going to be different all over the world. Certainly all over the US, you're going to probably see different price points. But for $8.99 a 4-pack here, it's not a bad price. And availability, it's Guinness. I mean, you can get it everywhere pretty much. So again, if you've somehow never had this beer, check it out, give it a go, give it a try. You might not like it, you might like it, but that is the experience. The experience of the Nitro, if you've never had a Nitro beer, is like worth it just to buy a 4-pack and give it a go. So yeah, I'm happy I finally reviewed this one. When it comes to Guinness, my favorite is the Foreign Extra Stout, which I have reviewed on the channel. Absolutely just phenomenal beer. That beer just blows me away all the time. Now, I'm going to put this aside. I'm going to come back with the Murphy's Irish Stout review, and I'm going to compare that beer to the remaining Guinness beer I have here, and we're going to see which one I prefer. I don't know anymore if I will prefer Murphy's. I was combining Guinness and Murphy's. I don't know if I'll prefer that beer, just because over the past like 3 or 4 years, my palate has been demanding more bitterness, and I think this has a little bit more of that. So we will see. Anyway, I appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. If you've had this one before, or you compared this one with Murphy's, what is your preference between this and Murphy's? Again, I think it's Murphy's, but once I come back with that review, it might change. We'll see. I don't know. I just want to hear from you guys. Appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your St. Paddy's Day responsibly. Cheers.